just to dwell here forever. And this will be my posture, laying at your feet. Oh, just to dwell here forever. Dearest Father, closest friend, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. Dearest Father, closest friend, you are beautiful. Most beautiful. And one thing I desire, only this I see. Oh, just to dwell here forever. And this will be our posture, laying at your feet. Oh, just to dwell here forever. Dearest Father, so beautiful. I'm so in love. With you. You're beautiful. So beautiful. You're the author and the finisher, and we fix our eyes on you. You're so beautiful. So beautiful. And we just want look. Everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be the same. And we just want everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be the same. We just want look. Everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be the same. We just want look, God. Everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be. We just want look. Everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be. We just want everything changes. Lord, we're captivated, and we will never be. We'll never be the same. We just want everything changes. I'm captivated. I'll never be the same. Just one look.
Wow. Most Beautiful by Chandler Moore, praise team. I love hearing them sing. That song does something to me every time I hear it. Did you like it?
I love it. You know, it was my first time hearing it, you
Yeah.
know, but I love it. It has a great meaning to it.
Yeah, I love the fact that you raised us in church, and it doesn't matter if people sing new songs or old songs or hymns. I always seem to know a little bit about all genres of music, and that's because you raised us in church. So, but I don't think a lot of people know that my grandfather, your father, wasn't a churchgoer like that. So then you have to ask yourself, if he didn't go like that, and we'll get into some other things, how in the world did you get entrenched in church like you did?
Well, you know, my mom was often to church. She was an usher, and she was very dedicated. up until the time she became ill, and she wasn't, able to go as often as she did. But I continued to go out of 6 siblings, and God blessed us to have a neighbor that was often to the church. And when Mom wasn't able to go, she would take me with her and her
Wow.
girls to Jerusalem.
So is that the lady that lived across the alley that was Danielle's godmother?
Yes.
I remember them.
Yes, yes.
They had a little dog in the yard back there, like a trailer home or something like that.
Well, the trailer home, you're right, he did on the
Yeah.
drive porch.
Wow. So you were in that house growing up, because granddaddy and your grandmama, all the kids were raised there. And then obviously you went to school, got married, had kids, and then full circle moment at the last stage of grandfather's life, you moved back in the house with him, forfeit your own place, and you go in there to take care of him. How important was that for you?
Well, that was very important to me. I couldn't stay there knowing that he was there alone by himself. I guess it was something that I can believe that has been put inside of me by God, because I also, as a little girl, probably in 7th or 8th grade, when my mom became ill, and I would sit by her bedside
Wow.
and take care of her.
So you did both.
So I did on both of them. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Mama, you are incredible, and it's amazing. Here I am, 38, 39 almost in a couple months, and I still learn things every time I talk to you about our past, about our history. And let me say, I wrote this book, this book here, the first copy that I ever received from the editor. Remember, I gave it to you in church that day. The binding on it was soft.
Yes, it was.
And I gave it to you, and I wanted you to make sure that I gave it to you. And you remember what I said, because it was unedited, it wasn't finished, it wasn't polished. And I gave you the book and thanked you for accepting the same version of me, unfinished and unpolished and still working. So I dedicated this book in its original pages to Caitlin, because I wanted to make sure that she has something to look forward to in her future. But everything in here is a result of what you taught me. The shift is what God calls, but courageously moving, you taught me how to do that. You just have a fight in you that I have never seen before. So you think about that. You read the book. You got the first copy, but we don't have to go through it chapter by chapter. Let's just go through it as we lived it. Just everybody always hears me talk about our background and growing up. Very rarely do they get a chance to hear somebody else talk with me or talk about the things that we went through. So what do you remember from the time when your children were born about how life was for you and how you had to come through and climb and scratch and claw?
Well, it was an uphill battle. It wasn't easy, but I had learned from my parents, especially my dad, to fight. To fight. And if you had to fight alone, you do it alone. As he was the kind of person, he did not depend on no one to do anything for him. He would not accept nothing from no one. If he couldn't do it, himself, he'd rather not, have it done and everything. So that became a part of us as children growing up in that household. He has put this work ethic in us, because that's all, when we were growing up, that's all he did was work.
Work.
So our relationship there wasn't all that close-knit, because when we seen him, when we was coming from school, he was going to work. When we was coming home
from school, he was asleep.
He was asleep, and everything. So he taught, and even though in our home growing up, it wasn't a lot of conversation going on, talking, and everything, but we watched, we watched and we seen what was going on, and everything. So that taught me how to fight and how to really really like him to depend on me, instead of waiting on someone else to do it for me.
Yeah, because I was getting ready to say, without admission, you are and were so much like him. I remember us coming home from school and you being at work. I remember you coming home at 11 o'clock at night. If we were up, we would see you. Then you would be asleep. We would get up and drive to school or go to school or catch the bus, whatever grade we were in. And then you would be on your work again. I remember you working doubles. I remember you working and going to school at the same time. I remember, do you remember when you went back and you took those typing classes at Ivy Tech?
Yes.
I remember all of that stuff. And I remember watching you. And a lot of people always ask me, when did this fire or passion well up inside of me, or what makes me work so hard? Number one, my grandfather, because I wish people knew that all of that stuff he was doing on his own, he made sure I knew how to do everything: count money, wash cars, vacuum, all that stuff.
And the ironic part about it, he only had a 8th grade education, because he had to drop out of school to help his parents after their home burned down. So he was a self-taught man. He taught himself how to work on cars, to fix plumbing. He taught himself. No other schooling, whatsoever.
After the 8th grade,
After the 8th grade, that was it.
I just learned that today. That's amazing, because I wouldn't have known that. You're talking about a man who was driving Cadillacs when we were kids and owned his own house and passed away and was financially astute. I remember when you all were cleaning out the house, I found one of his paychecks, and he made like $250 that month. How does somebody who made $250 in a month die with his house paid for, car, money saved, everything?
Yes, right.
How he did it.
With 6 children.
With 6 kids.
And the thing about it, we never wanted for anything. Matter of fact, the other children in our neighborhood always wanted to be where we was at, and we wanted to be where they was at because it's like they was having more fun.
Having fun and everything.
Right, and we, like we had to do this with chores. My brother had to cut grass. When he was working on cars, they had to be there, He didn't hire no one to do nothing. And so I believe that's where I received my work ethic, and I believe that's where you and your sister have their drive, because it's all, even in my brothers, they're workaholics. They work all the time as well.
So I'm born July 6th, 1981. When I think about that, I back up and then I say, you must have conceived me around October of 1980. And I couldn't figure this out until I started thinking about talking to you today. Why does something happen to me every October in my life? The Lighthouse Church started in October. The first church that I ever started, we organized in October. Most recently, and it's no secret, going through a divorce, and those proceedings initiated in October.
True.
I could go down the list of October, and I'm realizing that's when I was conceived. That's about the time that God brought me into earth, and you remember the devil tried to take me out the moment I got here, whether it was being born with a hole in my heart or all of the issues that I had. When you found out that you were pregnant with me, can you take me back to that moment? Like, what were you thinking? Where were you at in life?
What was I thinking?
The most blessed thing that God could ever do to you. That's what you can say right now if you're thinking about what you want to say.
It was a little awkward.
Okay.
But yet happiness, and everything. The thought never crossed my mind to get rid of you. you know, and even though in the what was going on, you know, and everything. And at that point, your father had already informed me that that you was going to be a boy. You know, that he had been asking for a son, that he wanted a son, and God had promised him a son. You know, and everything. So when I wasn't surprised when you was born as a male, because he always reiterated and assured me that you was a boy, that he was having a son, and everything. But the thing about carrying you, now that was another story, because you had gotten to the point where you had outgrew my insides, and it was like pressure, hard to breathe, because you had every inch covered.
Wow.
You know, and everything. So when I went into labor with you, it didn't ease. It was immediately hard labor because of your size, you know, and everything. And so what they had to end up doing after I was in labor for so long and you wouldn't come out, they had to give me a C-section. I had a C-section with you. They had to take you because of the size, and my pelvis and things very close to, you know, and everything. So even though with all that and how things were, like people say, if there's something in your life that you will change, what is it? That's not one, you know, because it wasn't in vain, you know, to watch you grow up. You know, when you was little, you were thick, believe it or not. This was a thick kid. No, I couldn't even walk around with him. He was heavy. He was very heavy. He the guys from the church used to come and get him and bring him into church and take him out to church for me and stuff like that.
Because I was too big.
Because he was big.
Wow.
He was heavy when he was born.
So how hard was it to be a single parent? You have me, but Kiana's not here yet. And then you have Danielle. And so Keion and I were a year and a half apart. So you conceive her. So just take, like, it's three of us there. You had been previously married to my older sister's father. Now you're single. And it's just you, me, and the girls. I can still remember, like it was yesterday, we were staying at the house on Maryville. And I remember when you were going through the divorce, and I remember seeing two black trash bags leaning up against the wall. And I remember asking you what those were for, and then you said that our stepfather at the time, and this is what I loved about you. I never heard you say anything negative about anybody, especially our fathers, in a day and time where that's just not a common thing with women today. No child support, no help, no nothing. I still never heard you say anything negative. Left to do it on your own, I still never heard you say anything negative. And when I saw those two bags leaning up against that wall, you said he went on, his job took him on vacation. He had to go work. You never said he left us. You never said nothing, you know, and I admired you. But that day was the day that I decided in my heart that you were never going to have to work again. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I thought it was going to be basketball. But that's the day the fire came up inside of me, because I realized later that you didn't tell us the truth. You were trying to protect us from the truth. How hard is that, Mama, when you have to do that and struggle and not let your kids know what the real deal is to protect them? Take me to that moment and how difficult it was.
Well, it's pretty difficult to do, and you have to muscle up everything within you to do it. But I was able to do it out of the love for you guys. You guys were my number one priority. I asked God that as long as he blessed me with my help and my strength, I will work. Even if I could have took him to court and sued for child support, if I wanted to. But it crossed my mind. But every time I thought about it, the Holy Spirit said, no, don't do it. And because I had to think of the position, the church, and all that, Sometimes, say when you make decisions, you have to learn to live with them. Whether it's good or ugly, you have to learn to live with them. And things wasn't picture perfect, and everything. Living condition wasn't all that great, But it was a thing. We never were outside. We never were without food. You guys never went without clothing or shoes or anything.
Yes, I remember one time, you talking about shoes. Do you remember taking me out of school and taking me to Woodmar Mall when the Jordans started coming out and everybody had to wait in line to get Jordans? I won't forget you bought me the white and baby blue Jordans. They were $150. And then you took me back to school at lunchtime. So I was the first dude in school with the J's on. You don't know how, Mama, that's what set me off. That's how I became the smooth dude that I am and put me on a whole nother level. You hooked me up.
And like I said, how I manage with having three of my own, and
Taking
then
care of everybody else's.
taking care of everyone else, child, their mom, they fell out with their parents. All I can say, it was done by the grace of God, because of what I was bringing in. It was no way
Taking care of 5 or
taking
6
care
kids.
of those many children, because many people have folded up under that.
Yeah.
And everything. So I had to trust in him, because that's all I knew. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to destroy the church. That was the furthest thing away from my mind. Before I had done that, I would rather have walked away.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I believe because I was obedient and listened to his word, that's why he kept us. Even though it angered you more so than it did the girls, in the living conditions and the things that we had to go through. It angered you more so than any of them. You never really expressed that, You never really verbally said anything to me, but it was in your demeanor. And the book, The Shift, allowed me to see the real you when you was growing up in that condition. And I end up seeing it from a whole different perspective, because those was your words that you did not express when you was growing up. I don't know if because it was out of respect or what.
Well, I used to go to Granddaddy and complain, and he would say to me, and you know how he talked, ain't nothing she could do about it. It is what it is, and you just need to get over it. And you just need to, you need to live with it. And he would say, and you can come around here as much as you want to. That's why I used to go to Grandma Erlene and Grandma Irvin and Granddaddy in them house so much. I was proud of you. I just hated what we had to go through. And let me tell you why. Because I would look 5 blocks up the street and I would see our father in a 5-bedroom house driving nice cars. 5 blocks down the road, I'm looking at you. And I used to wonder, why won't he help her? Why won't he do something? I never asked him. I never questioned him, but I did ask it internally. I was mad. I don't know if I ever got over it until I was in my 30s. I was mad
Yeah, for a very
for a
long
long time.
time. And like I say, even the anger that you had toward him, it also kind of spills over toward me
Right.
as well, you know. But like I said, you never verbally expressed it, but it was all in your facial expression, you know, and everything. I can see it, I can feel it, and everything. But I still had to stand the ground in which I promised the Lord. You know,
Yeah.
because I knew that one day you was going to be where you are today. Because, like I say, even though your father wasn't there in the house personally, he would always tell me that you were going to be great. God had something great for you to do. That you was going to be, out of all the sons, the best preacher, and that you was going to be able to reach people. That was your calling on your life. Why it happened the way it happened, I have no idea. Nobody know. Nobody know.
I was,
But he predicted your life before you were conceived and after you conceived.
and did it to me. And let
So-
me say right here in your face on camera in the year 2020, and I said this to him before I saw him alive for the first time, alive for the last time. My anger was because I didn't have any other emotion to access. It was the only one I knew. I didn't know how to communicate it. I just wanted something more, and I wanted what I thought he had for us. I looked at new suits, new clothes, new cars, family vacations, family reunions, and I only knew 7 or 8 of my family members total, including both sides. I wanted it for you. I wanted it for us. I remember going to his house. I laid in the bed with him before he passed away. I have it recorded on my cell phone to this day. And I laid in the bed with him, and I told him that I had nothing in my heart anymore about what we had gone through, that I had no frustrations, no anger, that I had completely exonerated him and released him from any of my expectations. Not because he deserved it and not because I was so good, but I did it because I became him. Mm-hmm. I became a 30-something-year-old man with a family and options and choices, and understood for the first time in my life the immense amount of pressure it is to be a productive man, a man who produces, and a man who takes care of everything. And you take that and you put us in the most volatile profession that life has to offer, where if you make a wrong turn, it could be all over. You're at the whims of people's decisions. And here I am now, being favored by God and blessed by God to have gone through everything that I've gone through, and the people of God are still with me. It was time that I got off of my high horse.
Yes.
And that I looked life down the throat. And I asked him for his forgiveness before he passed, which is why my heart is clear and cleansed. And I'm so grateful to now be a recipient of the same grace that was afforded him, you know, in that season of our life.
It's like the sermon you preached about the fingerprints and the blueprint.
Yeah.
And I guess you can take that and apply it to you. Because if his fingerprints was on you, then you would have been just like him. He would have molded you and not the Lord. Because you were so determined to be like him. That's why I believe that the Lord had to keep you separate. because you was too busy looking in his direction of what he was doing, what he had, and what you didn't have, and what you wanted to
That's
do.
good. Wow.
And that's why his handprint couldn't be on you.
Wow.
Because
I
the
never
Lord
thought of that.
couldn't have never used you the way he wanted you to use you.
Well, I gotta switch topics because you're gonna, I'm not about to be crying up in here. The people were asking me, what you wearing for this? And I'm like, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm at home with my mama. I'm not about to
Right.
dress up and waste no outfit to come out here, but you look good. I wish they could see your shoes and all that. So, Mom, I got a surprise for you. Most people's favorite holiday is Christmas, and I think that might be mine.
Yes.
And then most people's next favorite holiday is probably their birthday or something like that, or Thanksgiving. But one of my favorites is Mother's Day because I get a chance to honor you, and I thank God that you are here, and I pray every day that He gives you long life. And so, got something in the spoken word category that they have prepared for you and all of the mothers that are connected to us. So just check it out and see what you think.
Okay.
The saying goes, there's no love like a mother's love. And if you have one like mine, you know this to be true. I can't imagine how it must feel to give life and live by a title to our moms. We're sorry for all the days you had to live by a title, but we're thankful you filled the role and effortlessly, because how else could you become a verb, synonymous with affection and care, always there and sometimes bearing the burdens you don't have to. We're sorry for the things we put you through, but we thank you for allowing us space to make mistakes and learn and grow and make more mistakes, because if you know like I know, mama's got your back, even when you front. And that side eye ain't what you want, but sometimes it's what you need, and we need you mothers. Like nature, beyond the nurture, you are more than your love, because we've survived on your strength, arrived on your strength. You push through the pain, push us in prayer, push us to be better than you, but in our eyes, you're the best there is, so how could we ever compare you to anything when you be everything we need you to be when we need it? We're sorry we're so demanding, but we thank you for being available to listen, to give advice, to lead and guide, to teach, to reprimand, to hold our hand and remind us that being a mom is more than a title. It's an action, a call you always answer to and never show you're tired of, that we can always count on you and you never count us out even when the odds are against us. 3 words to the one mother we've each been gifted: we love you. The saying goes, there's no love like a mother's love. And since you have one like mine, you know this to be true. And while we can't imagine what it's like to give life and live by a title, we thank you for being our moms. The end.
Incredible. What do you think, Mom?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Man, wow. One day I'm going to be up there. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, and I'll be right in the
Yeah.
audience watching you. So I'm gonna ask you a question. I want to know from your perspective. You saw me. Do you remember my first crush? Do you remember the first girl I brought home or anything like that?
Oh, yes. Her name was Fifi. She lived in East Chicago.
That was the first one?
Wasn't that the first one, to my
Okay,
knowledge?
well.
That many?
Yeah. She was. We went together in high school and ended up going to the prom together.
Yes, you did. Remember you brought over and introduced her to your granddaddy, and he fell in love with her?
Oh my God! Why did Granddaddy
He
have
loved
that
her.
girl's picture on his refrigerator
Up until he passed.
till he passed away?
For some reason, he loved Fifi. He
Wow.
used to talk about it all the time. years later.
Well, we just gonna say he got old, and that's where he got stuck in his
Okay.
mind. Wouldn't let him
And
think
we really
past
got-
that. So we gonna
You
just
know,
blame it on age.
That's because she was really cute.
She was cute. She probably still is. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she probably still is.
You trying to say time bring about change?
Hey, no, I'm just saying she's doing all right, Mom. So let me ask you this too. They say you can learn a lot about a man, about how he treats his mother. Flat out question: how would you rate how I treat you?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give you a 10. You know, you're concerned about my well-being. You know, you're calling and say, how you doing? You know, you see me at church, you always, you okay? Everything all right? You know, so you're aware of my presence all the time.
Oh yeah. If they want to see me act crazy,
Yes.
you can't mess with you. I mean, but you know, it's like when you are a son to a single mother, you almost take on the role of her protector. It's like, I felt like I had to protect you until somebody else came, right? Like if you had gotten married again, then I probably would have relaxed a little bit. I just felt like it was my job to do that.
You probably relaxed just a little.
Yeah, I'd have been on that joke
It
too.
wouldn't have been too.
Yeah,
Same way you are with your sisters. So just a little.
So you would say that our relationship, I think, is excellent. I love now that we FaceTime. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first time you FaceTime, I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Because, you know, we old school. We just called each other on the phone or
Right.
something like that. I love that we FaceTime and put puzzles together and all that kind of stuff, play Uno. And I love that we do that now. So I know people are dying to hear. There's a guy on our staff named Jay. He does all of the videography with this guy, George. And
Oh my.
they want you to tell the fictitious story about what happened at Taco Bell. I don't know why they want to know, because I've already told the truth. I have already set the record straight. You fired me, I didn't deserve it. But for the sake of Mother's Day, I want you to tell the people why you fired me after you hired me at Taco Bell. Just go on and tell it, Mom.
Well, I had no other choice but to fire you, because you felt like you can come to work and do what you wanted to do instead of working.
That's what you do when your mama the boss, right?
No, it isn't.
What do you do, Mama?
That's why you got fired. You have a job, you come there to work, and regardless of who the boss is.
I know that now, Mother.
So, in order for me I had to use you as an example, because if I hadn't, then it would have came back on me from the other
People that work there.
that work there, that you get away with this and you do this and that, and they come in and they have to work. No, that isn't what a job consists of. And me coming in, you punch in, and you began to work.
Did you feel bad?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel bad, because this is how I went. I didn't feel bad at all, because I was allowing you to attend your basketball practice. I was working around that, you know. And when you first started doing it, I cut your schedule by a day, thinking that a bell would ring. And you continue to come in and do the same thing. So after a day didn't work, I cut you down to 1 day, 1 work day, to let you have your freedom to do what you wanted to do. And you still didn't comprehend what I was doing. So you left me no other alternative but to take you completely off the schedule. And I wanted you to come in to see that you wasn't on the schedule, to teach you something.
So for everybody who has ever worked for me, All 75 of you. You see where I learned it from. And to this day, it's the best lesson I've ever been taught.
Yeah. Because if I continue to allow you to do it, then that means that I wasn't doing my job, what they expected for me to do as a manager. Just because you were my son, and I believe here that you made a statement to me or Danielle one day about the child care. I don't care if you are some kid to me, that don't mean I'm gonna hire you.
I remember saying it.
You said something
I
to
learned
that
that.
effect.
Yeah, I learned that from you. And Granddaddy was the same way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Granddaddy was the same way. I remember, you remember the grocery store Sturks in East Chicago?
Yes.
We went to Sturks. That was when he had the yellow, canary yellow Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
I went and say, for instance, this book says The Shift, and the bag was colorful like this. I left it sitting in the back seat of his Cadillac, the white seats, and the plastic melted off onto those seats. Do you know Granddaddy made me for 3 days scrape every piece of that orange plastic off of that seat and dared me to mess up his seats. And Granddaddy could have took it around the corner and got it detailed. He could have done anything he wanted, but he was a man's man, and he made sure that you did everything with your hands.
In your hand, and they're teaching you to be responsible. Teaching you that just because who you are, that don't mean you can do what you want and how you want, and everything. So you wanted those Jordan every time a pair came out. So you had to begin to work for them since you wanted every pair that they came out. How often they came out?
Every day. Jordan releases Jordan every day.
Every day, and you wanted them. And to me, they all look the same.
You've been saying that for 20 years. Mom.
They all look the same.
They don't all look the
Yes,
same,
they do.
Mom.
He'll put a little red in them. and y'all be talking about, man, them dope. That's cool.
Mama, they different.
No, they aren't. And there's the same little man on the back.
That's true. It's
So since you wanted to support Jordan, Michael Jordan, then I had no problem with that. But you had to earn it.
Well,
I started you off.
with my first pair. From then on, I had to work for the rest
had to
of them.
work.
I remember. And I did. I cut grass. I shoveled snow for all the neighbors on the street. Did everything I could to get them. But I tell you what, once I started having to buy them for myself, then I realized how expensive they were, and I stopped buying them for myself.
That's true. That's true. And your size shoe, what, $100?
Back then they were. Now they
Now
about
about
$600-700, which is why I don't have none. So, Mama, what did you, when you read The Shift, was there anything in it that surprised you?
It was a touching book, and like I said, it gave me a whole new outlook about you. How predetermined you was to come up, as they say, out of the gutter. That part in there where you were saying that you would kind of parallel your life to Abraham. Because he was set on his death, and that's what you had focus and put your eyes on and everything. And like you say, you succeeded, out of the family. You were, if I can correctly, the first one that had reached that magnitude. From out of all of us, So you gave everybody else something to look up to, and to even some of the young men that you went to school with and the church with, how they kind of patterning what they do after you. Because you have set the standard. You set a high standard. You showed us that you don't always have to become a prisoner of your circumstances, that there's always a way to work your way out of it if you're willing to put in the work. Like you say, in your book, you always say you have to put in the work. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to fall out the sky. There's always work behind your circumstances.
Well, I think that this has been a riveting conversation. I think that you have helped and will help so many women who will watch this. You have no idea how many people will watch this and pray that their daughters, nieces, wives will have that perspective. Whether they call it old school or whatever it is, there's a strength that you have that I've never seen in another person. And only God knows in us the things that you had to endure. And I sat there and watched it from the front row. Mm-hmm. And without you, I'm nothing. So let me say to you that maybe at that time, the money wasn't available for the work that you put in, because they don't pay mothers the way that mothers should be paid. But if the work that you did had a compensation value to it, then you've surpassed anything that I could have ever achieved, because I saw it firsthand. Our homes incrementally got better over time, from when we were in Gary in the projects all the way up until we got to Madison Avenue. I saw us go from apartments with roaches crawling on the walls to a townhouse that was built brand new from the ground by the time I was a junior in high school. And they don't pay mothers like they pay entrepreneurs. But if you were to be paid for your work, you'd be a billionaire many times over. So I thank you for never giving up on my sisters and I. You never missed a basketball game. You never missed a sermon. You never missed a surgery, whether it was a torn knee or a broken foot. You never missed a bad report at the doctor, whether it was a heart murmur or a hole in the heart. You were there when they said I had internal bleeding. You were there when I wore heart monitors. You were there when I was preaching and driving your car just to get to church. You were there when we had no heat in the church and dirty diapers in the garbage can, and I was the janitor at the church. And you were at that church the same way you are at that one. And so for me and my siblings, the legacy of our family belongs to you, not me. And we are where we are because you are who you are. And if I am ever fortunate to meet another person in my life like you, I would find myself to be favored by God. So thank you so much for being the mother that you are. And you've gotten better with time.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
So there you have it. I have shared my mother with you, and I hope that her strength, her prowess, and her perspective is one that you can use to shape the legacy of your home. It's Mother's Day. And for those of you all who have lost your mothers to the heavenly shores, you have our deepest sympathies and prayers. And for those of you all who have your mother stood in the earth, you understand the joy of having them by your side. Either way, you are in the thoughts and prayers of the Lighthouse Church and our entire family. We never like to end without giving you an opportunity to do at least two things. Number one, they're going to put a link up right now, and you can satisfy your urge, your desire to sow into the kingdom right where you are from your home. You can do that. They'll put the directions up for how you can text and how you can sow. And believe this, God is not mocked. Whatever man sows, that shall he also reap. But also, more importantly, you need to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. You heard my mother say how important it was for us to keep our word, to stay in our word, and to keep up in our most holy faith. She only made it because she trusted and believed in God. And you need to trust and believe in him too, that only what you do for Christ will last. Thank you so much for this conversation. Share it with everybody that you know. This is my mother, this is me, And this is us. We love you. Until next time, God bless you.
Bless you.
Hey, so we out here. We getting ready for this Mother's Day. Shooters behind the scenes. So Mari, director of worship here at the Lighthouse. I got my boy Aaron with me, director of media and arts. So we just kind of putting it together. You know, it's the worship and arts department. It's the dancers. Everybody's together just to bring you a special presentation for Mother's Day. Hope you like it. Check it out.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. We love you. And this is just a little token of our appreciation. We can't pay you for all the things you've done in our life. But here's a little token of our appreciation.
Our
work, dedications.
Laying at your feet. Hold just to dearest Father, you are, you are.
We're ready right now.
I
told you he was white out here.
Hey, we'll get on this.
Closest friend, you are. And one thing I desire, only this I see. Hold just to this will be our posture, laying at your feet. Hold just to dwell here forever.